Did you know that within you lies a force so powerful, so transformative, that the moment you awaken it, your entire reality will begin to shift? This is not just poetic language or spiritual fluff. It's rooted in deep psychological truth. Carl Jung, one of the greatest minds in psychology, called this inner force the shadow. And today, you're about to discover how to turn this hidden part of yourself into your most radiant source of light, power, and authenticity. Over the next few minutes, you'll uncover 5 life-altering secrets that will forever transform how you see yourself and how you relate to the world around you. Now close your eyes for a second and imagine someone you know, or maybe you've just seen them once, who seems to have an undeniable presence. They might not be the most beautiful person in the room, nor the richest, nor the most accomplished. But the moment they walk in, everything subtly shifts. The air changes. Deep conversations. People become more aware, more open, more themselves. It's like if this person is holding a mirror that invites others to meet their true reflection. What's their secret? Why do they feel so magnetic? The answer lies in something that most people will never dare to do. They have integrated their shadow. Carl Jung discovered that each of us carries within us a hidden side, a shadow. Not dark in the sense of evil, but dark in the sense of being unseen. It's everything we've pushed away, repressed, denied, or labeled as unacceptable. Our insecurities, our anger, our jealousy, our vulnerability, even our brilliance when we've been taught it's too much. These are the parts we've learned to hide, to bury, to pretend don't exist because we thought that's how we'd be loved or accepted. But here's the most beautiful paradox in all of human psychology. When you embrace your shadow, you become light. You see, what we suppress doesn't disappear. It waits. It hides in the background of our lives, showing up as self-sabotage, as anxiety, as conflict in our relationships. The parts of you that you're ashamed of will find a way to speak, even if they must scream from behind a mask. But when you stop running, when you turn around and face those parts with compassion instead of judgment, something extraordinary happens. You begin to heal, you begin to expand, you begin to remember who you really are beneath all the roles you've been playing. And here's what most people never realize. Your shadow holds your greatest gifts. Your creativity, your intuition, your courage, your sensitivity, your power to love and be loved deeply. When you deny your shadow, you don't just deny pain, you also deny your potential. But when you bring it into the light of your awareness, it becomes a source of wisdom and strength. Think of it like this. Imagine living your whole life with one eye closed. You'd get used to it, you'd adapt, but you'd always be off balance, missing depth, clarity, perspective. Integrating your shadow is like opening that second eye. Suddenly, everything sharpens. You see yourself and others with more compassion, more truth, and more understanding. And it's not an easy path. It requires courage. It asks you to sit with discomfort, to confront memories you've avoided, to feel emotions you were told weren't okay. But on the other side of that journey is freedom. Real freedom. The kind that doesn't depend on what others think or on external validation. It's the freedom of being fully you, raw, real, and unapologetically whole. So if you've ever felt like there's more to you than what the world sees, if you've ever felt a fire inside that you can't quite name, if you've ever felt like you're constantly at war with yourself, or like something vital is missing, then maybe it's time. Time to stop hiding. Time to stop shrinking. Time to meet the part of you that's been waiting patiently in the dark, longing not to be judged, but to be welcomed home. You are not broken. You are not too much. You are not unworthy. Everything you've tried to silence is part of your wholeness. And when you finally learn to hold those pieces with tenderness, you become a force unlike any other. That's the power of the shadow. Not to harm, but to awaken. Not to destroy, but to guide. Not to dim your light, but to show you how brilliant it was all along. When you accept your darkness, you begin to radiate authenticity. When you stop running from who you really are, you become magnetic. Have you ever wondered why some people irritate you so much? Why certain behaviors in others bother you so deeply that they keep you up at night? Jung had a revolutionary answer for this. Everything that triggers you strongly in others is something you haven't yet accepted in yourself. It's your shadow showing itself. Think of that person you label as arrogant, the one who gets under your skin. Could it be that there's a part of you that's also arrogant, but you've suppressed it so deeply that now you judge it ruthlessly when you see it reflected in someone else? Or that person who's constantly seeking attention, someone you find ridiculous or even pathetic? Is it possible that you too have a need to be seen and validated, but you've buried it so deeply that now you despise it when you notice it outside yourself? This is the first major truth you're going to integrate today. Your strongest judgments toward others are direct maps to your personal shadow. Every harsh criticism you make, every irritation that can't be rationally explained, every "I can't stand people who," that's your unconscious screaming at you. There's something here you don't want to face. Jung explained it simply, but with deep insight. We project onto others what we cannot tolerate in ourselves. And as long as you keep projecting, you'll remain a slave to your own emotional reactions. But when you begin to withdraw those projections, when you start to ask yourself, what part of me am I seeing in that person? Something truly magical happens. You start to reclaim your power. Let's try a simple exercise right now. Think of someone who truly annoys you, someone whose behavior stirs up a strong emotional response in you. Do you have someone in mind? Now, instead of staying in judgment, ask yourself with raw honesty, what part of this person reminds me of myself? Don't try to justify it. Don't rush to defend yourself. Just watch. There's a part of you, even if it's small, that acts in a similar way in certain situations. If you're being fully honest with yourself, the answer will be yes. And that yes is the beginning of your liberation. Because when you acknowledge your shadow, instead of denying and projecting it, you stop being its victim and start becoming its master. If this message already resonates with you, support this video by giving it a like and share your reflections in the comments. Tell me what projection you just uncovered. But now, something even deeper comes into focus. You don't only project what you dislike about yourself, you also project what you long to become, but are too afraid to express. Jung called this the golden shadow. It's all those admirable qualities you see in others, but you deny having them in yourself. Have you ever met someone wildly creative and thought, I could never be like that? Have you seen people with natural confidence and felt that it's something completely out of reach for you? Have you admired someone's emotional freedom while you remain reserved and in control? Those traits that you admire so much in others, the ones that make you feel both awe and envy, are actually aspects of your own golden shadow. There are parts of you that are very real, yet you've kept them hidden out of fear, out of social conditioning, or because you were taught you didn't deserve to show them. Society trains us from an early age to be good, and in that narrow version of goodness, we lose entire pieces of who we are. The imaginative child is told to be more practical. The spontaneous girl is taught to hold back. The daring teenager is forced to be more responsible. And so, piece by piece, we bury our truest self, until we become a smaller, muted version of the person we could actually become. Jung discovered that in order to become whole, we need a process he called individuation. This isn't just about admitting we have flaws. It's about weaving every aspect of our personality together, both the parts we see as negative and those we think are too special for us to own. Do you know what happens when someone finally embraces their golden shadow? They become intensely magnetic, not in a shallow way, but deeply and powerfully, because now they're expressing themselves in full. They're no longer stuck in a small, limited role. They're finally being fully human. Think about it. The most captivating people you know aren't flawless. They're real. They carry light and dark, strength and sensitivity, wisdom and absurdity. They're like multifaceted gems, each angle catching light differently. Meanwhile, people who only show one side, no matter how polished, become predictable, and let's be honest, uninteresting. Here's something powerful you can try. Make a list of 5 people you truly admire. They can be public figures, people in your life, even fictional characters. Now, next to each name, write down 3 specific qualities that you're drawn to in them. Then ask yourself, how can I embody those traits in my everyday life? This isn't about imitating anyone. It's about recognizing which parts of your soul are being mirrored through them. If you're inspired by someone's courage, ask yourself, where can I be braver? If it's someone's creativity that draws you in, then where are you hiding your own? Your golden shadow is already within you, waiting to be claimed. All it needs is your courage. And this leads us to one of Jung's most unsettling yet freeing discoveries. He noticed something most people would rather not face. We often reject in others exactly what we most need to reclaim in ourselves. And the cruel irony is, by pushing those traits away, we stay fragmented, anxious, and conflicted inside. Have you ever noticed how those who criticize emotional sensitivity are often the ones who never allow themselves to feel? Or how people who mock superficiality are sometimes deeply disconnected from their own desire to be seen, valued, or even admired? It's as if we're at war with parts of ourselves and using other people as the battlefield. Jung put it like this: when you reject a human quality in someone else, you're actually rejecting it in yourself. And nothing you reject truly disappears. It hides deep in your unconscious, where it gains strength and begins to control you in secret. The person who despises aggression in others likely has unacknowledged anger that leaks out in harmful ways, passive aggressiveness, bitterness, or emotional outbursts. And the one who scoffs at vanity may be so removed from their own sense of worth that they live in a loop of constant self-doubt. The person who criticizes others for seeking attention is often carrying a hidden part of themselves that's desperate to be seen, acknowledged, and validated. Can you see how exhausting that is? You're pouring an immense amount of energy into keeping pieces of yourself in hiding. It's like holding a full-time job where you are both the prisoner and the guard. And while those parts remain suppressed, they find covert ways to surface, usually in self-sabotaging patterns that harm your peace, your growth, and your relationships. But Jung uncovered something profound. When you begin to consciously integrate your shadow, when you stop fighting against your own humanity, an incredible amount of energy becomes available. It's like putting down the oars and letting yourself drift with the current of your true nature. Shadow integration doesn't mean becoming a bad person. It means becoming a whole one. It's not about letting every impulse run wild. It's about recognizing what's within you, accepting it, and making conscious choices about how to channel it in ways that build rather than destroy. You have an aggressive side? Great. Let it help you defend your values and set clear boundaries. You have a vain side? Wonderful. Use it to care about your appearance and walk into the world with self-assurance. You have a manipulative side? Perfect. Let it become the force that helps you create mutually beneficial outcomes in your connections. Once integrated, your shadow becomes a powerful source of inner strength. People who've done this deep work radiate a kind of presence that feels magnetic because they're no longer fragmented inside. They're not leaking energy, trying to hide. They are whole. They are real. They are dangerous in the most beautiful way. Here's a transformative practice you can start today. Whenever you catch yourself judging someone harshly, pause and ask, what is this revealing to me about myself? Instead of feeding judgment, use that moment as fuel for inner exploration. It'll feel uncomfortable at first, but it's the gateway to emotional liberation. And now, get ready for the hardest truth, one that most people resist, but that can truly set you free. This is the part many refuse to hear. You've been living a version of yourself that isn't entirely true. Not because you're a liar, but because you were trained to believe only some parts of you were acceptable. Jung called this socially approved mask the persona, the version of ourselves we construct to gain acceptance. But here's the catch. The more polished your persona becomes, the larger your shadow grows. That's a psychological law. Every trait you deny or disown to appear good ends up hidden in the unconscious, where it only gains more power. You've seen these people, the ones who seem flawless on the surface, but suddenly explode emotionally, or those who appear calm, yet quietly ruin their relationships, or the wildly successful ones whose personal lives are a mess. These are people who've perfected their mask, but never dared to meet their shadow. Jung realized that real mental health isn't about being good all the time. It's about becoming aware of the full spectrum of who you are, emotionally, psychologically, spiritually. Again, it's not about indulging every impulse, but about acknowledging them, accepting them, and choosing wisely how to act. There's a stunning paradox here. When you stop striving to be perfect, you actually become more attractive. When you stop hiding your flaws, people feel safer with you. When you stop pretending you have no darkness, your light begins to shine more honestly and more powerfully. Think about it. The most magnetic people aren't the most polished, they're the most real. They can laugh at their contradictions. They can admit fault without collapsing. They can be vulnerable without becoming weak. They've embraced their shadow, and that's why their presence feels whole. Jung observed that even the most revered saints in history weren't people who never had dark thoughts or impulses. They were people who faced those parts and consciously transformed them into compassion and service. Their light was radiant because they had accepted their darkness. That's the real gift. The parts of you that feel most unacceptable right now could one day become your greatest strength if you bring them into awareness. That controlling instinct, it could become clear, empowering leadership. that judgmental voice. It could evolve into precise, compassionate discernment. Your competitive nature can turn into inspiring motivation, but here's the key. Integration demands brutal honesty with yourself. You must be willing to face the parts of your personality you've been denying for years, maybe even decades. You have to say, yes, I carry this trait I've criticized in others. And that's okay. It's part of being human. That kind of honesty isn't easy, because we've been taught to believe that admitting our flaws somehow makes us bad people. But Jung discovered the opposite. Those who acknowledge their shadow become more ethical, not less, because they act with awareness, not from repression or denial. If you're truly ready to transform your life, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. We're building a space for people who want authentic growth, not shallow perfection. Which leads us to the final step, the most powerful of them all. Jung said, there's a defining moment in every person's life, the moment when you stop living the life others expect from you and begin to live the one your soul has always longed for. He called this process individuation. It's the literal birth of your true self. But here's what no one tells you. Individuation requires betrayal. You have to betray other people's expectations, the image you've built of yourself, and the small, safe version of your life you've clung to out of fear of rejection. Do you know why most people never individuate? Because they're more afraid of disappointing others than of betraying themselves. They'd rather live a life that doesn't belong to them than face the possibility of being judged, rejected, or misunderstood. But Jung was clear. You can't become who you truly are without walking away from who others want you to be. You can't express your authenticity without disappointing someone. You can't integrate your shadow without some of your relationships changing drastically. That doesn't mean becoming cold or ruthless. It means becoming real. It means no longer sacrificing your essence to maintain other people's comfort. It means choosing the temporary discomfort of growth over the permanent comfort of stagnation. Individuation is terrifying because it demands that you stand alone for a while. It asks you to trust your own internal compass when everyone else says you're going the wrong way. It requires you to value your integrity more than your popularity. But here's the reward. When you individuate, when you integrate your shadow and live from your truth, you attract the right people into your life. Not the people who love you for the role you play, but the ones who love you for who you really are. Not relationships based on mutual convenience, but on deep resonance and soul-level alignment. Individuated people carry a magnetic presence because they aren't divided inside. They're not wasting energy maintaining appearances. All their energy is available to love, to create, to give, to fully live. They're like diamonds refined by the pressure it takes to let their brilliance emerge. Jung saw that the most influential people in history weren't the most perfect. They were the most whole. They had embraced their contradictions. They'd made peace with their humanness. They had turned their wounds into wisdom and their darkness into light. Are you ready for that kind of authenticity? Are you willing to disappoint a few people so you no longer disappoint yourself? Can you stand being misunderstood while you find your true path? Because once the process of individuation begins, there's no going back. Once you taste the freedom of being fully yourself, you'll never again settle for an edited version of your potential. So here's your invitation, a simple yet profound practice that could quietly change everything. For the next 24 hours, I want you to do something that might sound easy, but will require your full attention. Just notice. Become deeply aware of every single moment when you shift, bend, shrink, or stretch yourself, when you silence your truth just to fit in, when you abandon your own needs to please others, or when you hold back simply to avoid conflict. Don't rush to label those moments. Don't shame yourself or explain them away. Don't analyze or rationalize. Just notice. Observe them with compassion, like a curious witness of your own experience. Because that simple act of becoming conscious, of bringing awareness into the hidden corners of your behavior, is the very first step on the road to freedom. Why? Because you cannot change what you refuse to see. You cannot heal what you hide from. And most importantly, you cannot become whole while rejecting parts of yourself. The journey from shadow to light isn't a single event. It's not something you cross off a to-do list or achieve like a goal. It is a lifelong, ongoing process, a deepening, a returning. It's a commitment to honesty with yourself, a discipline of acceptance, and a gradual, courageous act of reintegrating the lost, ignored, or judged parts of your own being. This inner work, the work of meeting yourself fully, is the most important work you will ever do. Nothing else in your life compares to it. Everything, your relationships, your sense of purpose, your ability to create, your professional life, your contributions, your joy, flows from the depth of authenticity you are willing to embody. The Swiss psychologist Carl Jung once said, "Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves." That's not just a clever quote, it's an invitation to radical self-responsibility. Every trigger, every annoyance, every moment you feel judged, unseen, or misunderstood isn't just about the world. It's a mirror, a message, a chance to meet the unhealed parts within you that are crying out for your attention. Your shadow, the part of you you've been taught to hide, deny, or fear, isn't your enemy. It's your oldest, wisest teacher. It holds your deepest wounds, yes, but also your deepest wisdom. And your projections, the qualities you can't stand in others, aren't flaws to condemn. They're maps, clues, signs pointing to the pieces of you that are still longing to come home. Your darkness isn't something to fight or eliminate. It's a vital part of your wholeness that's been waiting for your embrace. And when you stop waging war with yourself, when you finally sit down with your shame, your fears, your rage, your longing, something miraculous begins to unfold. You no longer react from old wounds. You begin to respond from clarity, from intention, from a deeper truth. You stop being a prisoner of emotional turbulence, and you begin to master your emotions, not by suppressing them, but by listening to them, honoring them, and choosing how to move with them consciously. You stop living in fear of abandonment, and you begin to live from a rooted sense of self-worth that no one can take from you. You stop begging for love, and you start radiating it from within. And when you do this work, when you walk this path, not only does your life change, but the lives of those around you begin to shift as well. Because authenticity is contagious. Integrated presence is powerful. When one person chooses to live honestly, it gives others silent permission to do the same. It creates a ripple of courage, a soft revolution of hearts. Your light, your real light, isn't about perfection. It's not about being endlessly positive or always healed. Your light shines brightest when you're present, when you're real, when you offer compassion instead of judgment, both to yourself and to others. It brightens the shadows in those around you, not by trying to fix them, but simply by standing as an example of what's possible. So if you're feeling something stir within you right now, if there's a quiet voice inside saying, "This is what I've been waiting for," then I want you to listen. Really listen. Maybe you've spent years rejecting pieces of who you are. Maybe you've hidden your anger behind a smile. Maybe you've swallowed your truth so many times you've forgotten what your voice sounds like. But deep down, you know, it's time to return to yourself. If that resonates with you, if you're ready to start integrating your shadow instead of running from it, I invite you, right here and now, to say it out loud, or write it in the comments. I choose to integrate my shadow. Let's find each other. Let's create a space where it's safe to be whole, where it's safe to be real. Because the bravest thing you'll ever do in your life is not striving to be better. It's learning to be fully, unapologetically, authentically yourself. And that, right there, is your true superpower. Your integrated shadow, those hidden pieces you thought were too broken or too dark, actually hold the energy of your unique strength. Your authenticity is not a brand, it's not a mask, it's not something you perform. It is your deepest offering to the world. Your individuation, your journey toward becoming fully you, is a sacred gift, first to yourself, and then to all of humanity. If this message has moved you, if it sparked something deep inside you, don't keep it to yourself. Share it. Let someone else feel seen. Let someone else begin. Subscribe and turn on notifications, because we are only just beginning to explore the real landscape of transformation. Your real life isn't found in performing, pleasing, or perfecting. It's found in reclaiming the parts of yourself you were taught to abandon. It's found in becoming whole, and your integrated shadow holds the key. The time to begin is now.